welcome to another episode of the Javelina Coaches Show. One more episode here in the month of March, and we appreciate you stopping by. We'll have a list of guests that a little later will include Craig Nicholson and Michael Madrid, but our first guest is the Javelina volleyball coach, Tanya Allen. Coach Allen, good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Postseason starts for you guys this week. You'll be in action on Wednesday. Now, as of when we're taping this, we're not sure who you're going to play. We'll find that out on Tuesday night. But what is the attitude? What is the mood of your team right now with the LSC Tournament about to start?
Obviously, I think they're excited. I mean, I think they're ready to play. I think they're excited to see somebody new. We've played the same, three teams quite a few times now, so I think they're really excited to see somebody new and to really compete, and obviously it's really exciting to be at home.
One of the things you and I have talked about is how much of a grind, well, the volleyball season is a grind normally, but this year, between all the COVID protocol and the fact that so many of your kids are playing indoor and beach, I'm sure that's added a lot more to it, both for you and for your student athletes. How do you feel like your team has done, and what have been the most important factors in them overcoming all the other extra things that have been kind of surrounding this season?
Yeah, we have to be mindful of time. Time management is huge. They have to make sure that, both the kids that are dual and the kids that are not dual, just on one team, they still have to time manage. We have a lot going on. I mean, they have temp checks in the morning early before class. They have to make sure they schedule that in. Other days the times change, and so they'll have to work it in at different times. We have COVID testing pretty frequently that they have to work into their schedule on top of the normal, weights, practice, treatment, all that good stuff, plus school. And so it's been a difficult task trying to help them just find time to do everything. But they're doing a great job, and the dual kids really are obviously managing their time well. They've done it the entire semester. I think they're tired. I think it's wearing on them a little bit, but mentally they're doing a great job.
How much, with all that, how much has this last week without a match helped you guys kind of rest and regroup and get ready?
I definitely think indoor, the rest has been good. Yeah, I think we've been able to actually work on some things. Typically when you're in season and it's game after game after game, you don't really get a chance to really work on individual skills the way that you want. And this week we kind of were able to apply some of those individual skill assessments and really help work on something that's not so much team-oriented, but trying to develop each individual.
You hear so many coaches talk about they want their team to be peaking at the right time, right as the postseason starts, to be playing their best, and for you guys, that becomes a priority now. But how well do you feel like your team is? Do you feel like your team is at that point where they're peaking at the right time?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, any improvement, any upward direction, as long as we're moving upward and getting better, I'm pleased. I don't know about peaking because for me, some of these kids are pretty young, so I'm hoping they're going to peak in 2 years, 2.5 years. But yeah, as a team, as a collective unit, I do feel like we are better now than when we started the season, and I do think that they are continuing to improve. So I'm pretty positive about, they can accomplish a lot in this postseason.
One of the players you've had to compensate for not having the last couple of matches is Megan Merlino.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go back to the first two matches you guys played against St. Edwards, you didn't have her, and your team still played well and won. Do you feel like, having gone through that experience early in the season of having to find ways to win without one or two of your players there, do you feel like that helps your team now in trying to fill a void like that?
Yeah, I think we definitely framed it at the beginning of the semester like we don't know what will happen. We literally had no idea what would happen, and so I think the team was aware, that with COVID and with different things that some people might be lacking in the lineup. So you always had to be ready. You always had to be, even if you were next in line, even if you weren't on the court, there's a good chance you might find your way onto the court, and it could be in any position really, because we didn't know what was going to happen. And Megan is a very good player, and so when she went down, I mean, that very first match when we couldn't use her, immediately people stepped in and were ready to fill roles. It's a different role, because they're different players, and so they bring something different to the table. So we modified, made some changes. You have to win a different way, but they're all really receptive and really coachable, and they've been doing a great job.
LSC Tournament is a pretty frequent destination for you guys, but this is the first time you get to have postseason matches here at home. How much easier does that make it having it here?
Well, I don't know about easier, but I definitely think it's more exciting. It's more fun. It's so much more support around. You get to sleep in your own bed the night before. It's a comfort level, and I think it's really going to be positive for us. But I know that the team on the other side of the net is going to be really high caliber, so we're definitely going to have to step our game up.
So many times you hear coaches talk about, well, our goal is to do our things well and not worry about what the other team is doing. Now, you mentioned, obviously, whether it's Oklahoma Christian or A&M Commerce, you're going to have a very good team, but can't really prepare, but you can't prepare for either one right now because you don't know who you're going to play.
Right.
How much emphasis does that add to the idea we're just focused on what we need to do well? Yeah,
so this week, having a week off, we've obviously watched some film on both of the teams, and we picked up on a few of the main things that they do, the main things that we know they'll bring to the table, and we've kind of focused on that this week. And really made sure that if we put that in a scouting report, the girls are going to be aware of what they're doing. So we kind of prepared without actually telling them we're preparing for both teams, because you don't really know which is going to be on the other side of the net. So we've worked on a few of the things that we know that the teams do pretty well, but like you said, we're just going to have to focus on what we're doing and do it well.
How excited do you expect your team to become Wednesday night?
Yeah, I'm going to have to try to contain that excitement, honestly. We're going to have to take a few deep breaths and really get focused there at the beginning, because I think they're going to be pretty energized.
Now, fans, remember, you can tune in to the LSC Tournament quarterfinals on JavelinaAthletics.com. There'll be links to live video and live stats. Be sure to tune in. Match starts at 6 o'clock inside the Steinke Physical Education Center. We hope to have you with us either in person or on JavelinaAthletics.com. And, Coach, we look forward to seeing you out on the court on Wednesday night. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
We'll take our first break and come right back. You're watching the Javelina Coaches Show. Don't go away.
Nothing Acosta could do about it right there. That's his team-leading 4th home run of the year. Just like that, the Javelinas have a 2-0 lead. Just below the chin. Say he swung and missed at that one, but the ball gets away. Navarro coming home. They apply the tag. They say he's out. Javelina left fielder. That one hits the outside corner. De Leon shakes his head. Throw down to third. It gets away from the third baseman. Colin Gordon picks it up and throws home. A strong throw, but not going to get him. So a stolen base. He is out playing right field. Pitch skied into left field. Acosta going back. The game is tied. An opposite field home run, and it's a 6-6 ball game. The ball just kept going and kept going. For the second time today, the Javelinas have hit the ball out of the yard, and now they have tied it at 6-6. Been a good one. Pitch skied into right field. Palonzo coming on. Can't make the catch. Looks like he lost it in the sun. A single for Servine. Probably would have been. Keep the Shaps alive in this one. We're in the 11th inning already. He smacks it into right field, but it's going to be right at the right fielder. Another hard hit ball. The Shaps had 4 of them in the last 3 innings, but they cannot pull off the win. Series evens up at 1 game apiece. We'll have the rubber game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. This one hits it high in the air. Looks like that one's going to leave the yard. Coleman quickly re-gives the Javelinas the lead. He smashes that one over the left field wall. Kicks and fires again. This ball turned on. Might be another home run. It is over the left field wall again. He has tied the game with his 2nd home run of the game. Great day at the plate for Cole Ullman. He has Valle's number. Whatever Armando's throwing up there. He's seeing it. Ball looped out into center field. Griffin charging. He's going to throw hard home. Cut off. The throw goes down to second. So an RBI single, and the Javelinas have retaken the lead. He gets this ball through the left side. It's a base hit. 2 runs are going to score. The single from Seth Spin makes it a 9-5 lead. Ball grounded down the third base line. It's going to be trouble. Into the corner, Acosta racing over. Speed on the bases. Spin comes around third. He will score. So an RBI double. It's now a 5-run ball game. Swing and a miss. Catcher takes a follow through into the forearm. But that'll end the ball game. Chaps lose it 10-5.
Welcome back to the Javelina Coaches Show, and we're joined by our next guest, the head Javelina women's basketball coach, Michael Madrid. Coach, thanks for taking some time out today.
Thanks for having us, Mark. It's good to see you.
A little bit of a different atmosphere for you guys right now than the last time we saw you. What is the biggest difference for you right now compared to, say, a month ago?
The biggest difference is, number one, our players got some rest, and we have a few that ended the season banged up, so they're trying to get healthy, but just getting our players back on the floor, it's nice to have a number of them in off season that we can continue to work with and help them get better, and so we just enjoy being around them any chance we get, so it's been fun to work with them.
When you look at where this team was, say, in October or November compared to where they finished the season at, where were the areas you saw this team make the biggest strides?
I think, one of the biggest strides was just their ability to play at a high level. Initially, coming in with so many younger players, we weren't really sure how they were going to respond to a season, it being a little more physical, maybe the tempo being a little bit higher. And as they continue to grow, as they continue to adjust, their level of play continued to get better. And I thought as the year went on, we continued to get better, and that's ultimately what you want to do as a team, is you want to continue to get better, and at the very last basketball game, you want to be playing your best basketball.
What was your message to your team after that very last basketball game?
It was kind of a mixed emotions at that point in time, honestly, because we weren't sure if we were going to get into the conference tournament at that point in time. We knew we had to win going in. But once all that kind of settled and the dust settled and we kind of figured out that we weren't getting in, our biggest message to them was, number one, we just wanted to give thanks for the opportunity to play. Going into the year with COVID, nobody really knew what was going to happen, if we were going to get some games in or not, so we were obviously extremely thankful for them. But Coach Weaver and I were just thankful for our players. They they were tremendous this year. They had to overcome a lot of adversity, just like a lot of other teams across the country, but just thankful for their hard work, thankful for the fact that they continue to work together and stick together, and just enjoy the opportunity to be around them, and looking forward for the next opportunity.
Was there a point in time, I feel like you're always focused on not just what's in front of you, but what you guys have planned for next year and the year after that, and everything that you guys want to build here in the future. But how quickly, when you guys found out that that last game was going to be the final game of the year, how quickly did the focus shift to you towards, okay, now we want to build things for next season, whether that's helping your players be prepared or trying to get back on the recruiting trail, how quickly did the focus switch for you guys?
Oh, it was immediate. I mean, we basically told our players we get 2 weeks off, and then 21-22 started March 15th, that Monday. I think it was 2 weeks off, and so we gave them a calendar. Our focus was, getting better. We basically told them we have 6 months from March 15th to October 15th, when we start our first day of practice, official practice, is we've got 6 months to get better. And so our biggest message to the team is, we had a great year, we've got a lot of good players, but we can't be the same team next year that we were this year. We've got to make some improvements, whether they make them individually, whether we add a couple of pieces through recruiting. And so they're excited about it. They come to practice, they come to work every single day with some enthusiasm and energy, and we're just continuing to grow.
You look at the roster from your first year to your second year, obviously there's an enormous amount of roster turnover from year one to year two. I know you talk about how happy you are with the student athletes you were able to bring in, that I'm assuming you would like to keep as a part of your program going forward, but is there any difference in your approach as a recruiter this offseason compared to the last one?
No, there's not. Honestly, we're looking for the same type of players this time around that we were looking for last time around. And so, you know, we want to find winners. We want to find young women that work extremely hard, that are selfless, that believe in, you know, the program is bigger than any one individual person. And so as we go through the recruiting process this spring and through the summer, we'll continue to add those pieces and, you know, look forward to the number of players coming back. We potentially could have 12 coming back, and so that's a great number to have to start with, and then obviously we're going to add some pieces to that.
When you finally have this team back together, I know obviously the school's not over, so this team is still really together right now, but when everyone gets back on campus, let's say in September, what are the strides or the things that you want to see from your team when you finally get, when you know, all of a sudden the next season is only a couple of months away and you have everybody back on campus after the summer?
Well, I think the most important thing is, you know, once we're able to piece our team together, whether it's through a couple of recruits this coming spring or maybe early in the summer, we want to jump start it as fast as we can, whether that means having Zoom meetings as fast as we can in June and July, just continuing to build our program and develop the relationships with one another. But you know, once we get here, it's going to be no different than it is going to be every single year. We want to get them on the floor. We want to work on their individual strengths. We want to continue to improve their weaknesses. And then, as a whole, just continue to build relationships with one another moving forward.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
We'll take one more break on the Javelina Coaches Show. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Bunt to the left side. That's going to be a tough play for Gallardo, and the throw will not be in time. Now Cervantes is going to head for second. Kelly comes to the plate. She'll score easily. No one covers second on the rundown, and Cervantes takes the base herself. She goes with a 1-1. Drill to left field. Going back is Martinez. That's gone. Gonzalez with a towering shot over the left field fence. Just beginning the top of the second inning, and there's a call third by Montez. Swing and a miss for strike three, second K off Montez strikes out the side of the second. Montez will come around to score. Tries to take a second here on the 2-1. Dos Santos laces that to the left field where it gets past Larkin. Now this might end the game. Legnier gets the wave. She'll come in to score, and that will do it. So Dos Santos with the pinch hit knock that drives in the game's final run. Swing and a miss. Strike out for Delano. First second of the day. 0-2 is waved and missed. Back-to-back Ks for Delano. She is 2/3 of the way out of this mess. Geisy crushes that to left field. It's gone. So Geisy with her second home run of the season. Cervantes trying to drop that into left field. It will fall for a hit. Chernosky rounds third and scores. And it's an RBI double for Jory Cervantes. Gonzalez tomahawks that into deep left field, and it's gone.
Kayla Gonzalez.
Have a day, Kayla Gonzalez. She's got 6 RBIs. And first first hitter she's tasked with facing is Anastasia Levas, who hits it through the left side for a base hit, and it gets past Larkin to the left field fence. 2 runs are going to come across. 1-2. Montez hits that one well inside of the air to the left, and it's off the glove of the ANSU left fielder. Larkin spins pulled in, 2 runs come across, and it's 3-1 right back up the middle for a base hit. Cervantes gets the wave and comes in to score. A 2-run single off the bat of Gonzalez. She has driven in 8 today. Lionel with a 1-2. Ball game over. Javelina's complete a doubleheader sweep. They win both games via the run rule, 8-0 and 15-1. Back on the Javelina Coaches Show, we're joined by our 3rd guest this afternoon, and that's the head Javelina softball coach, Craig Nicholson. Craig, thanks for stopping by again.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Up and down weekend for you guys, coming off of a doubleheader sweep over Eastern New Mexico, followed by a series against West Texas. Probably as tough a loss as I've seen a team take back to back. But what was your message to your team after Sunday's doubleheader?
Well, I think the big thing is, we just need to play better. I mean, 2 pretty evenly matched teams. They made some breaks for themselves, and we gave them some extra opportunities. And I think against good teams, you just can't give them the number of extra opportunities that we gave them offensively. And it came back to get us. There's been times where we've been able to work around that and dodge those situations, but we just couldn't quite get it done on Sunday, and much of it had to do with with ourselves. Too many walks, too many errors. And I thought, and I will say, give them credit because they had big hits in big situations. So that's the biggest thing. And look, I mean, that's softball in the Lone Star Conference. I mean, there's 10, 11 really good teams, and every time you go out there, you better play at a high level, or you're going to get beat.
As disappointing as it was, what were the positives you took away from this past weekend?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, when you just look at the raw numbers from those games, they probably shouldn't have been that close. And but we competed in both games. We gave ourselves opportunities late in those games to win, and that's one thing that I feel really good about this team with is, we're going to compete until the game's over. And in game 1, obviously we had a chance late in the game. I couldn't have probably set it up any better, and they made a great play. And then, game 2, same thing. We take the lead in the 6th inning, and, they had the right part of their order up and, found a way to score 2 and kind of snatch that one back.
How do you as a coach make sure that 2 losses, as tough as those were, don't become an issue that's something that lingers for your team?
Well, I mean, the big thing for us is the program's at a level right now where we go on the field, we expect to win. And, I don't think that changes. I think, obviously there's setback from getting swept at home. But, we go back, we have a good week of preparation, and we go back to work this weekend. I mean, you have to be able, as a group, to take the bad with the good and continue to fight through and continue to move forward. And, I think we'll do that. I don't have any doubt that this team is going to continue to grind and continue to compete at a high level.
How much of that mentality of going on the field and expecting to win every game is something you've instilled in this team since you got here?
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it. I think we're at a point now where it's very player driven. I mean, yes, I expect that we'll go out there and compete at a high level and win every time we step on the field, but I don't think I'm the only one out there that thinks that. I think, when you look at the leadership on our team and in our program, we have some people that are very, very willing to compete at a high level, and I think it's at a point now where our players, especially our best players, expect that when they step on the field, they're going to find ways to win ball games. I don't know that they think that, we're going to play great every day, but I think they do believe that in the end they're going to find a way and get it done. No, it doesn't always work out like that, but you know, for the most part, that's what our group consists of.
One of the players we talked about on Friday was Kayla Gonzalez, who hit 2 homers, drove in 8 runs in that game. And I asked you if you were surprised by how well she was playing. And you mentioned that you knew that she was going to be a really good player when she got here. When you're recruiting a player as good as she is, how quickly does her ability show itself during the recruiting process?
I think in the recruiting process there are certain players that stand out for sure. I think this is how I characterize recruiting. I think, you know, you go recruit a class of, say, 6 people, and in that class probably 2 of them are going to be exactly what you thought they were, 2 are going to be better than you thought they were, and 2 aren't going to quite live up to what you thought they would be. But typically with the players, you know, at a level of that Kayla was playing at through the recruiting process, you know, those are going to be the ones that are exactly what you thought they were going to be, and you know, so you know, she kind of fits in that. But yeah, I mean, we expected her to come here and do what she's been doing, you know. And again, the numbers still are a little surprising. I mean, it's really hard to hit 500 or whatever she's hitting, you know, in this league. So hopefully she doesn't come back to earth, you know. But you know, the way she just attacks balls and is pretty confident in what she does, you know, I really believe she'll be fine.
You've talked about how much easier her life gets when you're, I guess you could call them your table setters, at the top of the order get on base, and Jory Cervantes and Lauren Kelly. How happy have you been with, I know we talked about this before, how happy have you been with the top of your order so far this year?
Most days pretty happy. I mean, and I'll go back to, you know, when you talk about, you know, leadership on the team and kids that are, you know, that are willing to compete at a very high level. I mean, those are 2 of the ones that you talk about, and they're most days they're finding a way to get on base and do their part. You know, are they going to have days where they struggle? Absolutely. And you know, quite frankly, game 2 on Sunday, you know, those 2 weren't on base as much as they have been for the past, you know, 8 or 9 games. And you know, they're going to have days where they don't get it done, and we got to pick them up. But overall, over the course of the first 20 games of the season, they've been doing a great job of kind of kickstarting our offense, getting on base.
You guys got to drive a long way to play 4 softball games this week, if I'm not mistaken. You'll be in Odessa, and then you go to play Western New Mexico after 2 games there. What do you expect, and what does your team need to do to make this weekend successful? Well,
I mean, obviously preparation this week, you know, 3 days of preparation. We had a pretty good day yesterday. You know, 2 more days this afternoon and tomorrow, just to get ourselves ready. And the biggest thing is, the one thing I know for sure after 4 years in the league, you know, those 2 teams play a lot better at home. And we better be prepared for the fact that they are better when they are at home. And you know, part of it is the fact that whoever's coming to play them has quite a long road trip. But you know, part of it also is the reverse is true. So when they go on the road, especially when Western New Mexico goes on the road, every road trip for them is a long road trip. So you know, I feel like both those programs are significantly better when they're at home, and we got to be prepared to go in there and play at a high level. The last 2 times we've been to both of those places, you know, we've had very, very competitive games and very competitive series, and you know, we just got to be prepared for that.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to the Javelina Coaches Show. Thanks to our other guests, Tanya Allen and Michael Madrid, and we appreciate you tuning in. And we'll be back next week with a new slate of guests. We hope to have you with us then as well. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.